Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to you on this May 29th, 2025. We have a very special episode of the Rush Hour for you today, as it is Arraignment Day. That is the day that Laura Owens will learn of all of her charges in Maricopa County, Arizona, and we'll be here to cover that. I am joined today, coming up shortly, by my pal Megan Fox, a journalist and YouTuber who helped break this story down. She helped expose a lot of the fraud. And I hate to say it's a victory lap because there's really no victory here, but it's holding someone accountable and consequences of their actions lap. So we'll get into all of that. And if you're new to my channel, so many people have found my channel just in the last several months. My channel has grown by 50%, or maybe more actually, due to the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively trial. Now, what's interesting with Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively is the amount of money that's on the line, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on legal teams, in Justin Baldoni's case, to defend himself from the accusations against Blake Lively. And in her case, she's trying to sink this guy and maintain her position atop Hollywood. It's a fantastical story. What's so different about the Bachelor Clayton versus Laura Owens case is this played out in family court. No one was supposed to know about this whatsoever. She was an anonymous person going into the gossip magazines, trying to bully and harass Bachelor Clayton Echard. For what reason? I'm not really sure. She hooked up with him. They had consensual relations, not of the full variety. They didn't cross all of the bases, is my point. There was not penetrative, you know what, as far as he's concerned. And then she, of course, a week after he breaks it off with her, she says she's pregnant with his twins. Now, we get a hold of this story because it goes into the Sun, the gossip rags, and they smear him and say, oh, she was worried about the safety of her unborn kids. And Clayton's a docile guy. We didn't believe the story for 1 second. The more information that came out, it looked like she was a crook, a liar. We found out about several instances of men in the past who she claimed she was pregnant with twins. So we started to see what her game plan was, which is possibly try to trap this guy into being being with her because she's pregnant, and then maybe they'll hook up again because she's pregnant. Why the hell not? And next thing you know, maybe she would really get pregnant. Maybe that was her goal all along, was to have a family. She just was trapped in her own sort of evil world where she was trying to find a sinister way to exploit, to control. Who the hell knows? We really don't know. But what is so fascinating is that once this crossed our docket, once our community, the Justice for Clayton, the Bachelor Nation community, once we got a hold of it, we weren't letting this go another inch with her lies. And, you know, a lot of people give me credit. They really do. They're super kind. But the truth is, the only reason I pursued this case as hard as I did to get the truth out there, I mean, I hate to say it, it's because she was threatening my reputation, right? So I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm not Justin Baldoni. I'm not Bachelor Clayton Echard. I don't have that kind of following or notoriety, but I have what I have, which is a humble little audience here on YouTube and podcasting, a humble audience that believes in me and that's trusted me to deliver the news to them, to try to be honorable, to try to have grace, to try to be a decent human. And she was attempting to rob that from me by calling me, all of the names you could call somebody, a fraud, a scam artist, telling me I'm exploiting a story for money, all these different things. We knew deep down we had to get to the bottom of it. Well, after 2 years, after an investigation, after June 10th, 2024, when Laura Owens was found to have lost the evidentiary hearing, which basically means she owed Clayton all of his court legal fees, which was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And after an investigation by Rachel Mitchell, the county prosecutor of Maricopa, after all of that, she's finally getting charged with 7 counts of different felonies. Her attorney said this, that she has retained criminal defense counsel. She plans to appear via Zoom on Thursday, but that's up to her new lawyer. So she'll be appearing via Zoom this morning. I am traveling today to Vegas, so whether or not I have any breaking news updates on YouTube, I'm not really sure. It'll depend on where I am, but I will definitely have an update on the Instagram, Dave Neal, the Rush Hour with Dave Neal, or D Neals, wherever you want to find me. Same thing on TikTok. What is crazy, though, is faced upon the consequences of her own actions, which includes a police raid at her house, them combing through her text messages, having a subpoena for basically her ordering HCG, which would have proved why she was pregnant in the first place. And again, not pregnant, but tested positive for pregnancy. After all of that, her response was to write this article, and it's a press release from her. As someone who has never been charged with a crime in my life, maybe she should have, I am stunned by the 7 felony charges announced against me by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. These allegations appear to be the result of a coordinated harassment, misinformation, and public pressure in the aftermath of a paternity case I filed against former Bachelor star Clayton Echard. It seems as though she's not going to go quietly into the night, and neither will we. So we'll find out today, maybe by the time you're checking this out, what all of the different charges are, what all the different evidence is. We know what the charges are, but what's the evidence that they have as far as why they think they can go after her for these 7 different things? Will she plead guilty? Will she plead not guilty? I'm guessing not guilty, judging by this right here. But I have to say this. After months of covering the case, in part with my real close buddy, Reality Steve Carbone, he has welcomed me and shared his audience with me as the lead independent content creator surrounding Bachelor Nation. And this weekend, we actually celebrate his 50th birthday. That's why I'll be in Vegas to celebrate that. But after Steve and I swapping notes, sharing what we knew about her, catching her in lies, Steve was able to extract from her a fake ultrasound. She faked HCG to me. I mean, we have a real lion's share of smoking guns all over the place against her. But after that, one of the first people to help me out, to help this message get outside of the Bachelor bubble and the Bachelor niece, is a ragtag reporter named Megan Fox. She is a no-nonsense New York, a savage. She's you don't want her on the other side, right? You want her on your team. And we don't agree on everything. God knows that's for sure. But she goes to bat for people she believes in. She went to bat for me. She went to bat for the truth. When I met her, when we had a phone call when she was interviewing me about this story, I knew I could stand on the truth. I knew what this story was all about, right? I had no doubt whatsoever that I was in the right, that we were being, not framed, but that we were, Laura Owens was lying to us and she was faking evidence. We knew all of that deep down. Megan Fox reviewed that information on her own and used her critical thinking to also agree. And then she went hard in the paint for us. And I'll forever be indebted to her. I remember literally being in the drive-thru at Taco Bell as this was going on. Geez, was this, my wife was pregnant. How crazy is this? I was at Taco Bell, you're pregnant, you got to go get your lady Taco Bell. Taco Bell, come sponsor us. But I remember, wife is pregnant, I'm in Taco Bell, phone calls, and I'm pulling levers and strings, trying to protect my family, trying to get the truth out, trying to do all these different things. And all I was looking for was somebody to go to bat for me, to go to bat for Clayton, and to go to bat for this situation. Well, so many of you guys showed up. Megan Fox, Reality Steve, and everybody else forever has my love and my gratitude for that. And today is arraignment day for Laura Owens. Now here's my chat discussing this along with other trials, including the Karen Reed trial, and I think we talked about a few other things. So enjoy my chat with Megan Fox. Today's episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. When was the last time you needed to go to a doctor, but you pushed it off, made the excuse, I'm too busy, it'll heal on its own, I don't need help? I think we've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can just feel so daunting, but thanks to ZocDoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy to find and book a doctor who's right for you. ZocDoc is a free app and a website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical need you may have and are highly rated by verified patients. I use ZocDoc and you should too. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/rushhour to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/rushhour. ZocDoc.com/rushhour. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know it's a good day when we have special guest of the program, Megan Fox. How are you?
Good, Dave. How are you? Long time no see.
I know. Can you believe it's been a full year since we were cannonballing into your, I believe, father's pool? Is that right?
That is correct. And but we'll be cannonballing into the Mandalay Bay pool this weekend, I think.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be tough because the Mandalay pool is one of those, like, you walk out to it like resort style.
Darn
so
it. No
we're going to have to find some
cannonballs.
rogue rock to jump off of and get yelled at by the lifeguards. But yeah, I mean, so it's wild. It's wild that a year's gone by. We met in person as we covered the Laura Owens Clayton Eckerd case, and it took a full year. But she has been charged with 7 counts of perjury. I know we talked about this briefly, although I don't even know on my channel or yours. Did we do this on my channel?
I think we might have done both. I'm not sure. It's all a blur, Dave.
It is a blur, but tell me, today, as this comes out, will be the arraignment for Laura Owens. What do you know about what to expect as she gets charged with 7 different felonies?
I expect that she will not show up in court in person. I expect that she will be on Zoom. I think she's trying to protect herself from public scrutiny as much as possible. But I also expect that she's going to plead not guilty and take this thing all the way to trial, which is not advisable. But, you know, we're here for it. I prefer a trial. And I think that's exactly what we're going to get.
The one thing I learned from last trial is I need a bigger van. I need a full RV. So I have to, but I'll be there. Are you going to come to the trial? Will you be?
Absolutely. Of course. But if you're going to get a bigger van, I can't be your van procurement specialist. That one was just big enough. My God, I can't drive that.
Yeah.
Can't drive anything bigger than that. I don't think.
That was, and mine, anyway, we don't need to get into the weeds of the van life, but no, I mean, there is such a personal, I mean, we both have a personal reason here, but like you were obviously prodded at, as I was, by Laura Owens' attorney. He's now operating as basically like the family spokesperson. This guy got the funniest deal because we sucked his ego into working for free for a year and he still lost whatever reputation he had. I mean, it's a real joy to see.
It is, and he's still losing, and he's continuing. I believe, like Reality Steve does, that he has a losing fetish, unfortunately, and he likes it because he continues to do it. He's going to take his appeal to the Supreme Court. It's crazy. The one he's lost on twice already. He asked for a review. They said no. They even gave more fees to Clayton Eckerd. His client just keeps losing and losing and losing, and he doesn't know when to pull the plug. He's just like, all in, get on the loser train. It's just terrible.
And it's like, it's good to see the system play out in case there is an injustice, but really the injustice was her. So while he thinks he's going to find some loophole to claim victory, he's never really tried to claim victory based on Laura's merit. He's tried to claim it on like loopholes, right?
Technicalities, yes.
And this whole time he says he believes her. But now we find out, I believe on Easter, the same day my channel reached 100,000 subscribers was the same day. Someone told me this was the same day that her home was raided. Were you shocked to find? I mean, just the term raid, like a raid, it sounds like so Hollywood here. But what do you think happened? Do you think they had to wake her up and just show up with a couple, Scottsdale police?
Well, have you not read the report? Because it exists.
I haven't.
Oh my God! What, Dave? It's out. The raid report is out. So I can tell you what happened.
Give me the Megan Fox ChatGPT version.
Okay. The ChatGPT version is they woke them up at 6 a.m. The Scottsdale police did a coordinated meeting with the MCAO in the morning, like at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they were told they needed to assist with a raid. And while they had evidence, it says this in the report, they had evidence to arrest her. The MCAO asked them not to. They went to the house. They woke up her mother, answered the door. Her father was in bed sleeping. They woke him up. They hustled him out of his bed and put him into a chair in one room. And then they were knocking on the casita door, and she wouldn't let him in. And so one of the officers went to go get a battering ram to get into the casita. And by the time he got back, she had decided she should cooperate. She had been on the phone with her lawyer, she said, and her lawyer had told her to cooperate with police. And so she opened the door, but she wouldn't leave the casita. And so officers had to put their hands on her to remove her from the casita. And she complained and screamed the whole time that she was being abused, that they were drawing their weapons on her, which officers all said none of their weapons were unholstered, that their rifles were pointed at the ground. At no time was she abused, but she was screaming at them that she was under police abuse and they were abusing her. He said that he grabbed her right wrist and put his hand on her left shoulder and led her from the casita into her mother's house and put her in the same room as her father. While they were doing this, she was screaming at them that her father couldn't. She noticed that another officer was helping her father walk from one room to the other, and she was screaming and yelling about he needs his walker, he can't walk. And the officers informed her, ma'am, there's an officer helping him walk. No one is abusing your family. Everyone, and body cams were on. And by the way, Dave, all the money to get the body cams was raised in like less than 7 hours. So the body cam footage is going to be on its way very soon. Schnitzel Ninja has put in the request and it's all paid for. And we're going to see Laura Owens accusing police officers of, police abuse during the raid.
So if you want to test my level of empathy, I feel bad for her, but also have to remind myself that this is somebody who caused this. Like everything, this is the result of years of her never being told no until a battering ram is being used by her own tax dollars. This is madness. Now, I want to tell you something. I don't know if you know this, but I have a little birdie that told me that she has signed on to the documentary. Did you know that?
Ooh. No, but I'm not surprised.
All right, so I have some information for you then. That's good to know.
I knew that she would probably want to be a part of it, and her lawyer too. I mean, come on, he's a camera hoe. I mean, if there's lights and cameras, he's going to be in front of them. We know. He's already sent us pictures of his big Netflix debut that he was so proud of. So
yeah, we need to get him his own hair and makeup team here. Just and people have wondered, oh man, she's doing it for the money. I don't think she'll get a penny out of it. But when I heard she was signing on to the documentary, again, just a rumor, I thought, well, maybe she's having a change of heart. Maybe she realizes if she's going to confess to it, she might as well get as much screen time. But again, and maybe that's the case. Maybe she's changed her mind since the body cam, maybe since the raid. But I don't know. I mean, you don't think so? Yeah, I don't think so either. No. And there's two ways of thinking. You have to think like a rational person, and then you have to think how Laura would think. And it's hard to put your mind in the head of somebody who's as crazy as she is. And I still get emails from lawyers all the time trying to tell me to tone down what I'm saying because she's still going to come after me. And I'm like, I think I'm good at this point. Like,
no, we're good.
I think I'm good. But boy, what a wild year. We knew we were good last year, June 10th. We knew we were good after the judge ruled. I mean, and obviously it was crazy to be there when the judge ruled that not only did Clayton win, but they want her investigated. You and I both thought, I mean, you told me several months ago, you're like, look, they're not going to charge her if they waited this long. What do you think took so long?
I really can't answer that question. I would assume that it's because the county investigators have other cases that they're working on that probably were higher priority, perhaps, and also maybe they were taking their time getting evidence. But the way that it all came together so quickly, and I have found out that there were certain things asked for on certain dates that were so close to the raid that I don't really know. I can't answer that question. That's the big mystery. And I hope that in the documentary, we get some MCAO officers or detectives to talk about it. I really hope that they will go on the record about what this investigation was like for them, because I feel like they must have run into some kind of barrier, some kind of difficulty in as to why it took so long. Because, you know, we've been sitting on all this evidence for so long. We're like, come on, like, here it is. We've handed it to you on a platter. What are you waiting for? And we won't know unless law enforcement decides to tell us.
So today, there's the arraignment. I think Laura's family attorney, David Gingras, said that she hired a criminal defense lawyer, which, first of all, this is good for all of us because any amount of money she has to spend defending herself is less time and energy she can spend coming after not just us, but innocent men or, you know, whoever, you know, whichever of these police officers she's going to accuse, like, knocked her up. But, you know, and you know what's interesting is I've got sources also that say she faked an assault from a police officer where she claimed that she was being assaulted in San Francisco, and there was maybe body cam footage or something that proved that wrong. So any of her claims, I mean, she's got to know at this point she's on camera pretty much anytime she's doing anything publicly with, you know, with the cops involved.
Well, okay, so that brings me to the next thing. This morning, I was catching up on Schnitzel Ninja's new dump on her channel, which is that even after the raid, Laura was calling the police about Clayton allegedly breaking his restraining order. And there's audio of it. And just listening to her continue to tell these lies to police who already were raided. They already raided her house. Like, the gig is up. Laura, no one believes you anymore. And you are the girl who cried wolf, and that's dangerous for a lot of situations. And she's still trying to use police to her advantage. And I think it's just more evidence that she's not rational. Like you said, she doesn't think clearly. But I don't think that she will be. I don't really believe David Gingras that she has hired a defense attorney yet. I have not seen a defense attorney entered on the record on her behalf yet. I think she's having trouble finding one because she's refusing to take a plea deal. And any defense attorney looking at these charges, looking at the significant jail time she's facing, is going to be telling her, you must take a deal. And I don't think there are many defense attorneys out there that want to go to trial on this. So if she's refusing to take a deal, I think she's having a hard time getting an attorney. And I've seen no evidence so far that she has one.
Yeah, when you think about Maricopa County, right? The first-time offender, even though she's got this like sort of non-criminal rap sheet, you have to think, you know, they always want to give you a deal because then they don't have to take things to court, and it's a win for
Saves
them.
A lot of money.
But at the same time, you have David Gingras has accused Rachel, has basically talked mad shit online about Rachel Mitchell's husband. He's brought into question the legitimacy of multiple judges. I mean, it's just insane the amount of like cannon fodder that he has provided. He is the sole reason we cracked multiple angles of this case. I would love to know in a world where she never hired him, you know, she had former lawyers, Lexi Linval and the other guy, trying to get her to, you know, just,
poor Corey.
Poor R.I.P. to Corey. He's alive, but not as far as we're concerned.
Not in this case, anyway.
We'll have to have like when they do the documentary, maybe they can interview all those lawyers like a batch interview. Like they don't deserve their own solo time, but maybe just put them all in the in a box, and then we can bang out a couple of the former lawyers' interviews. But I mean, there's a very real non-0% chance that her documentary interview is done from a prison cell.
Yes. Yeah, because listen, like you said, if she were to cut a deal, she would get no jail time. She would get supervised probation probably for a pretty short period of time. I can't imagine them giving her probation for longer than 3 years with no jail time. However, if she refuses to take a deal, the county is not going to look at that in any positive way. They will go for her throat and they will go for maximum time because that's how they know they're dealing with an unrepentant
Meg, let me tell you something. No one goes for Laura Owens' throat unless it's a bachelor named Clayton Eckert.
All right, that was bad phrasing.
If anyone in my audience thought I wasn't going to make that joke, you're on the wrong channel.
Phrasing.
Nice, we got special effects coming from Megan Fox.
I always put myself in these situations. I don't mean to.
I mean, hey, what can you do? Listen, I cannot wait to hang out with you. Lastly, you're going to kill me for this. I need a Karen Reed update. Can you give me like a 3-minute what this retrial is all about?
The retrial is insane. The state is changing their story yet again from the last trial. Now they're trying to say, they've changed they used to say that John O'Keefe got hit by her car and he flew spinning in a pirouette 30 feet.
Okay, so hold on. Karen Reed is a Massachusetts lady who was found
allegedly
mainly not guilty the first trial, right?
Yeah, it was a mistrial. They found her not guilty on 2 of the 3 counts, and then the judge never pulled them, and so she got retried on all 3 counts, which is incredible.
So, right, so 2 of the 3 counts that she was already exonerated for, but with a jury, a full trial. Now she's being retried.
Yeah. Right. And because the jury didn't get polled, it's like it didn't count. So the only thing that was left was manslaughter. So they had thrown out second-degree murder, and they had decided that leaving the scene of the crime was not it either. So they were hung up on manslaughter. The Commonwealth has to prove that she hit John O'Keefe with her car that night, that she allegedly dropped him off at a party. She saw him walk in the house. He was supposed to call her and let her know if it was okay to come in, and he never did. And so she was like, well, screw you. And she left. That's her story. They are saying, then he's he never comes home, found on the lawn of that house in the morning near dead. And they're saying she hit him with her car in a rage. But the state is now doing this weird thing where they've hired this expert. Yesterday was crazy. They hired an expert. Their story is that John O'Keefe was hit at 24 miles an hour going backwards, that she reversed at 24 miles an hour, 24.2 miles an hour, ran into him on purpose, and then left the scene of the crime.
You would need like a very long driveway to get up to that speed in reverse.
Well, they said she was in the street and he was standing near the curb or something, but they can't prove any of that. They have no idea. So they've hired an expert now and this is so crazy. You need to play clips of this on your show. They've hired an expert who stood behind the car dressed up like John O'Keefe in the same T-shirt and everything for reasons that I can't even tell you, just to make it look like John O'Keefe got hit by a car. And he's got blue paint all on the tail light of the car and had the car back into him at 2 miles an hour, as if this could recreate a 24.2 mile an hour hit. And then he rolls into it with his arm so that it shows that the injury would be where the injuries were on John O'Keefe with this blue paint. The guy looked like Blue Man Group. It was so dumb. I've never seen anything so unscientific before in my life. As if the injuries would... Look, you can't recreate an injury like this. How come you didn't do it on a crash test dummy? Why are you doing it on a human being? Why are you? It doesn't. A lot
of times
sense.
That's kind of like quack science, right? Like these idea of like recreating, especially something that would have involved so many variables. And so, what do you think the chances are that she loses?
I couldn't tell you. I think this. If the Commonwealth or the state where you live can lock you up based on the facts in this case, we should all be very, very afraid. There is so much reasonable doubt in this case. You could drive truckloads of it through the courthouse. I mean, reasonable doubt is everywhere. There are multiple explanations to how this guy could have died. And the fact that maybe she did hit him. I don't know. Maybe she did. But the state doesn't know either. And that's when they should never have brought this case in the first place.
So he was a cop, right?
Yes, he was a cop, and he died on a cop's lawn. And all the cops investigating are real shady. The lead investigator got fired because of the investigation into this was so bad. You could not have done a worse investigation if you tried. So it looks real purposeful. Let's put it that way.
So do you think, how long before we know how this ends?
Well, the state is just wrapping up its case. And so now the defense is going to start their case in chief. I believe, I don't know maybe even today. I haven't looked at it today because I was doing another interview about a different case, but that may start today or tomorrow, I would think. But certainly by Monday, the defense should be starting. And that's when it's going to get really interesting because they're going to call the ARCA witnesses from the FBI first, and they're going to destroy that idiot testimony yesterday, which was just outrageous. I've never seen anything so unscientific, and I can't believe that they let it into court. There is no comparison to, you cannot, this is a totally different scenario that they set up. And what they're trying to do is just put the image of John O'Keefe getting hit by a car in the jury's mind. That's all that was about. They dressed this man in a costume like John O'Keefe. They put him in the same t-shirt, same jeans. I mean, and a baseball cap. Like, what did that have to do with the science experiment? Nothing.
Well, they got, I mean, hey, listen, after the Laura Owens case with her expert guy who, said there was no doubt she was pregnant, it's like, you can pay an expert to really tell you anything, it seems.
It's true.
Well, wild stuff. I tell you, I wish I could clone myself because there's so many interesting stories here that you can't possibly cover it all, but I appreciate you catching me up. And I'm sure we'll have more stories after this fun weekend of ours. So rest up, get ready for, Reality Steve's, I think it's his 90th birthday party. I'm not really sure. Are you older than him? You don't have to say your age.
I probably am. I mean, everybody knows I'm 49. I think Steve and I are the same age. I think we might be
this is his 50th, so he's got you beat.
Okay, he's got me beat by 1 year.
All right, so we'll have to come back to Vegas for your 50th or something.
It depends. House. I've never been to Vegas. If I like it, maybe.
I can see you becoming a degenerate gambler. So we'll see. We have to at least do one sort of like ceremonial slot machine together.
Okay.
So we'll bet some money on Laura's criminal defense bill. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. And anyone listening can go catch Megan Fox on YouTube. And keep fighting the good fight.
Thanks, Dave.